Hi, welcome back to the Lazyriver guys. This is Herb. Today we're going to be doing some updating and recapping. Before we get into that, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button and turn on the notifications and check out Instagram at LazyRiverUS. Last episode I showed you this nano tank that we were building. Now as you see here, we have the wood trim going all the way around. It's a very beautiful tank. As you remember, the Views in Between edition. This tank roughly holds 2 gallons when filled to the top. I had to cut all of this fancy wood trim to the length of the tank and cut each edge to a 45-degree angle, forming perfect edges on each side of the fish tank. Here is an aerial view of the top of the tank filled with water. And if you guys have been following me on Instagram and seeing my tank builds, you will notice that, yes, they're not perfect, but they are getting better. This tank currently holds 2 gallons and it does not leak. Prior to the making of this video, I've had this tank filled up for about 2 weeks, checking it all the time for signs of leakage or breakage, and yet it still doesn't show any. This particular Lazy Nano I had built for a very good friend of mine on Instagram at Do No Harm. I'll put a link to his profile in the description below. He's basically a really good guy. He's a hiker, he's out with nature all the time, and he actually does from time to time supply some of the wild turtles that you will see featured on my Instagram page. He's a all-around good guy, really down to earth, and I think you guys should go check out his page as well. As for the tanks that I've been building, some of you might be curious, hey Herb, are you going to be selling any of these tanks? And the answer is possibly. But for right now, I'm not going to be selling them just because of time and what goes into it. So it wouldn't be a very good idea for me to get into selling tanks at the moment. However, I will say that coming soon, I am going to have a variety of different aquarium plants, as well as some fish that I've been breeding. And if you're interested, you can let me know or just inquire to see what I have. And as time goes on, I will be posting pictures and videos of them so you will know what I have and we can work something out. Enough talk about the Lazy Nano for now. Let's recap and get back into that diagram that we saw at the end of last week's episode. You might be asking yourself, what's the deal with that? What's with all those sponge filters, and what's with all those boxes with numbers on them? Well, I'm going to tell you. I've been wanting to get back into breeding again. Yes, I am currently breeding, but I want to build a system which will make breeding easier for me. And when I say make it easier for me, I mean something that I can monitor tank for tank for tank on separate levels, and ways that I can separate the fish and keep track of progress of plant growth, of fish growth, and things of that nature. Basically, I'm getting back into this because I would like to start selling some of my fish and some of my plants. Building tanks has been an inspiration to me. Yes, it is a pain in the you-know-what because it's difficult to do. You have to make sure that you cut all the pieces correctly. You need to make sure that you get them all silicone correctly, that there's no leaks, and da-da-da-da-da-da. But the inspiration comes from that, knowing that, wow, I could do so much more if I only had more tanks. So I want to expand. I have 2 ideas right now. Either I'm going to build the tanks, meaning 5 more lazy cubes of the same size as the original one that you have seen in my previous videos, or I will get 9 10-gallon tanks and line them on the shelves side by side, long ways. You might be saying, wow, that's cool, that's great and all, but what about all that weight? let me let you in on something. Water is roughly 8 pounds a gallon. So, if we have the original Lazy Cube being an 8-gallon cube, 8 times 8 is 64. So 8 gallons of water to 8 gallons means that it would be roughly around 64 pounds. Now, with the rack in mind, we would have 2 tanks on each shelf. That would be 128 pounds per shelf. But that wouldn't be including substrate and rocks. However, if we go with the 10-gallon tanks, we're going to be at about 80 pounds per tank. So we would be putting the tanks 1, 2, 3 next to each other. So think about it. 8 times 3 is 24, so that's 240 pounds per shelf, which is quite a bit more. And that too also does not include the substrate or the rocks. Those things in mind, the weight of the water and the tanks and the rocks and everything, I found myself a product at Home Depot which was a heavy-duty utility shelf which would hold 350 pounds per shelf. That would be my best bet in this case. With our ideas in mind, we're just going to try them out and see what works. I want to talk about how it will work and what kinds of equipment we're going to be using. We need an easy way to drain and fill the tanks. Because let's face it, when you're siphoning and doing it the old school way with the siphon and sucking on the hose and everything, that takes forever. My idea here is bulkheads for draining and PVC pipe. And of course, to fill it, we're going to need a pump. What we'll do is we're going to drill the tanks, install the bulkheads with the PVC with a ball valve that we will release, as you've seen in the clip, making the water be able to flow out easily for water changes. And then to fill it up, we'll be using that Aquatop submersible pump with the 40-foot Anaconda to fill each tank. Let's talk about the equipment. We're going to need filters. We're going to need lights. We're going to need a pump that can put air to that many tanks. Now, right here isn't a very good representation of what I'm about to describe to you, but I do have sponge filters here in my turtle tank. And what I'm going to be doing is getting the sponge filters that I need and seasoning them. And when I say season, I mean I'm going to take them out of the package and put them in here to be able to collect enough beneficial bacteria to essentially give me an instant cycle when I start the rack. I like to use Hydra Aquatics sponge filters. Now the lighting. I've been doing some really deep soul searching about lights. I've had all sorts of lights on fish tanks over the years, from the old hood ones to LED light bars, fluorescent light tubes and things of that such. And I came across a product by Aquaneat, which was recommended to me by Jason at Jadron Aquatics. I'll put his link below as well to his channel. The Aquaneat lights are very cool because they are dimmable and they have a full spectrum of LED. You can make them blue, you can make them high or low based on your needs if you're growing plants or just want something to light up your tanks. Let me just show you the Aquaneats real quick. And of course we're going to need a pump. A pump that is capable of producing enough power to all these tanks, whether it be the 9 breeder tanks, which are 10 gallons, or the 6 Lazy Cubes, which are 8 gallons. We need a pump. And the pump that I've chose to do this job is the Eco Air pump, 795 gallons per hour. Now, I could go a little bit higher if I choose to, but I found this heavy-duty pump, and it looks like it's going to be able to do the job. Now, with all that said, will I buy tanks or will I build tanks? Some of you who have been following me already on Instagram know or have an idea of what I'm doing at the moment. So if you don't, get on board with me, dude, and follow me at Lazyriver US on Instagram. And until next time, guys, stay lazy. We'll catch you later. Adios.